Hello, and welcome to the MooCast. We're on episode 6, and we are taking you into July, giving the best of the Moo straight to you. We are back with Mike O'Mara and...
Greg Obert.
And...
Andrea Musolf.
And this week we're going to start, as we do every single episode, talking about what we played in the past 7 days or so. And if you have not been hiding under a gaming rock, you've probably experienced the beauty and the mystery and the vampire slaying goodness that is Dawnguard, the humongous DLC that came out for Skyrim. I certainly have had a couple hours sunk into that, but not nearly as much as Greg here, right, Greg?
Oh my god. You want to talk about... I just consumed this thing, and oh my god, it was amazing. You have to play it. It's so much fun. Just using the crossbow to kill vampires is amazing.
Coolest weapon ever.
So I've been playing a ton of Skyrim the past week, and maybe hopefully this next week I'll get off the Skyrim train and find something else to play, but...
There's always more content.
I know, it's crazy.
There's so much to do. Andrea, what have you been playing?
Well, I finally hopped on the Skyrim boat here.
The Skyrim horse cart?
Yeah, so I finally started playing that. I have not played Dawnguard just because I just recently got into Skyrim, so I think I'm level 15.
Incredible.
Maybe. But I'm really liking it. I'm a wood elf, and I like having my bow and arrow. So I've been exploring. It's just, I find myself, if I look at the map and go, oh, okay, I'm going to go here. Well, along the way, I'm like, what's this? A cave?
Oh, it's the best part of that game.
And I'll go back. I'm like, what's this? A campsite? Let's go exploring. So yeah, I've been playing that. I did play some of the Modern Warfare 3 DLC, and of course I played through the Mass Effect 3 extended ending, but we'll talk about those more later on, so I won't say too much now. So you said a little bit about your build. Let's just take a second here and talk about our main Skyrim builds, because I think that's pretty interesting, like talking to people that play this game, like how many different ways you can play it. So you said you're an elf and you like archery. Yeah.
So is that your main method of attack, or do you also use like restoration spells or like...
I like having I use the bow and arrow for the long range attacks, especially if I'm in stealth mode, when I can pick off enemies from afar. If they get too close for comfort, then I have my magic in one hand and my one-handed weapon, which is some kind of sword right now in the other hand.
What's your favorite spell so far?
Oh, I like the fire.
You like the fire one? Yeah.
Yeah.
The fountain of fire that you just hold? Yeah,
that one.
That's pretty damn cool, yeah. My main build right now, I've got two characters because that's how much a dork I am, but my main guy is bow and arrow, and with enchantment. So like I upped my enchantment as high as I can, and so I add, flames and ice and like poison and everything to every weapon I have. So I like doing that, particularly bows and arrows. Although I'm a big fan of the crossbow now that that's out, and I use restoration spells. So like I'm going to fire at you, and then I'm going to run away and heal myself. Then I'm going to peek out and fire at you again. That's pretty much what my main guy is. And then I've got just because I wanted to see how the game plays differently, I started another character who's like a tank. So he wears heavy armor, and he only fights with two-handed weapons. So like he's like super heavy but slower. But I cannot get over how cool like the animations are for like bashing people with heavy weapons. They're like the coolest thing ever. So I think I'm going to like end up playing that guy maybe more than my archer because it's super fun. What do you use, Greg?
Yeah, I'm totally the tank guy.
Oh, so fun!
I love it. I got my smithing up to 100.
Oh my god!
So I got my dragon armor, my dragon weapons with the new Dawnguard DLC.
Nice.
I do use archery. I think I got that up to 100. And I sneak and I lockpick, and that's about it.
That's a lot.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But it works for me.
So awesome. Oh my god, I love that game so much.
But yeah, when you get the perk to, like, this is going to make me sound like a psychopath, but when you get the perk to, like, decapitate people.
Oh, yeah.
And you get all the awesome animations that go along with that. Oh, I feel so powerful. It's awesome.
Decapitation's a beautiful thing. So that's what we've been into this week, and of course, some of the other biggest gaming news of the past, 7 or so days has been the release of the Mass Effect 3 extended cut, the long-awaited extended cut to one of our favorite games of the past couple of years. I have to admit that I have not actually played the endings through yet myself, although I have seen a good portion of them in videos that have been posted on the internet. But since these two have, I'm going to turn it over to them for a second to just talk a little bit about maybe what we expected out of the endings and what we got, and whether I think maybe we could talk about whether we're satisfied with where it leaves us now. So
Oh, spoiler alert, by
Spoilers.
the way.
Spoilers.
In case you didn't see it coming. Okay, so Mass Effect 3. I guess you could say I technically finished it today. So I'm gonna, I started the final mission from the beginning. I didn't want to miss anything.
Right.
And I played through on easy just so I could go through it
Right.
as fast as I could because I wanted to see what the new stuff was. So, I'm going and, before I got to the part where the new stuff comes in, Greg, you told me to watch, like, when you run toward the beam, that's when the new stuff comes, which is true. Overall, I think they cleared up some stuff. I was, you see your people go back on the Normandy. It was like, oh, bye, hot space guy. And
They'll remember you always.
Yeah, so I guess things were cleared up a bit. I was also pleased that the conversation with the creepy little kid who I can't stand,
Star Child.
was Shepard wasn't just like, oh, okay, cool, all right.
Right.
Like you could actually be involved with the conversation.
Right.
I like that. And it was always my plan from the beginning because I mentioned this before when we talked about the original Mass Effect 3 ending. Your goal throughout all 3 games was to destroy the Reapers.
Right.
So that's what I was going to do. Like,
Sure.
That was my plan. So, I did that. And I'm going through the cutscene and Admiral Hackett's doing his, his speech
Right.
and whatnot. And, this was yesterday. The game froze on me. Like, as it was doing that,
no.
I got a black screen and the music kept playing. I'm like, okay.
Maybe it's your indoctrination.
And it's just like, this went on for maybe like 3 minutes. I'm like, okay, I think something is wrong here.
Right.
So I didn't have enough time to start over from the last checkpoint. So actually, yes, last night I ended up going on YouTube just to see the ending.
Mm-hmm.
There really wasn't much more after that, but I wanted to see the other 2 endings before I watched the one that I actually did, which was Destroy the Reapers. So
Interesting.
I watched the synthesis and the control.
Mm-hmm.
And, this morning I went back and I played again, so I saw my full ending. I was disappointed. I think you only get that bonus scene if you play it on insane difficulty, which for me made the ending.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I guess if it was me, I mean, obviously I didn't see this yet because I didn't beat it on insane, but, Hot Space Guy is going to put my nameplate on the death wall.
Yeah.
And of course he does in synthesis and control, but then when I destroyed it, he's about to put it up, and he doesn't put the plaque on the wall. I was like, oh man,
What does that mean?
am I alive? I got so excited, and then of course you see the breath. Like I'm like, oh good, I'm alive maybe. So I hope there's a Mass Effect 4. But again, in my playthrough, because I didn't play it on insane, I didn't see that ending, and because that wasn't there, I was disappointed. So for me, that 20-second scene really made the ending for me.
Greg?
Well, I don't know. It was a mixed bag for me. First off, I want to give credit to BioWare for just going back and doing this, because there's not a lot of game companies I know who
they wouldn't have done that.
take the time after all this fan outcry to stop whatever it is that they're working on.
Which is probably something else.
Probably other DLC.
Right.
I'm assuming a Dragon Age 3 somewhere in there.
They can keep that.
Old Republic expansions. And,
Yeah.
And they made these endings for free. And
that's good.
I think that it was really good of them. So I appreciate that. Thank you, BioWare. Because I know all of you are listening to this.
All of them.
But I liked all of the content up until the actual endings. Actually, like I enjoyed the control and the synthesis endings more because it just kind of fleshed out like what your decision did.
Right.
But honestly, it's funny because with the original endings, the Renegade one was the one I loved. Like that was the only ending that you could have. Really.
Yeah.
And plus, I was a huge believer of indoctrination theory, so it's like, that's the ending.
I'm so upset that didn't. I'm so upset. Ugh.
Maybe though.
And I mean, they didn't. This might be a stretch, but they didn't necessarily disprove it.
Yeah.
But I think they made it less likely. Yeah. But my problem with the new Renegade ending is I hate how open it is. Because, like, you have the control, you have the synthesis, and you even have the FU ending with the kid, you know. But, like, they're over. Like, the story is done, you made your choice, boom.
Right.
But it's like, you do the Renegade ending, and you make that tough choice. Like, you sacrifice all synthetic life.
Right.
Which is like a Mass Effect choice, you know? It's like, if you do the control or the synthesis, you're not really sacrificing anyone except Shepard.
Right.
But if you do the Renegade, you have to make that tough choice, and I like that, but then there's just no resolution. Because it's like, if you get all the war assets, you know, you see the breath scene, is he alive? Is that just like, oh, we're gonna have that in there so you hope, and we're not gonna do anything with it?
Right.
Or are we gonna have some sort of epilogue DLC?
Right.
Or what? So it just kind of aggravates me that even though they said the trilogy is the end of Shepard's story, like, there's still really no ending.
Right.
But see, I don't know. For me, I kind of like having that little bit of that open-endedness. Yeah, it's like you can kind of fill in the blanks yourself. I mean, I understand, you know, trilogy, you want it to end. I don't know. I just like that there's that little bit of mystery.
It is interesting to me in the game that is so much about player choice. It seems like in the end, the company didn't really want to make any choice for us. That's what it seems like to me. And I think the completionist part of me, like the part of me that likes to read good books to the end, the part of me that likes to see good movies to the end, wants to see them tell me, ultimately, like, what did this all mean, like, for that universe. But also I can see your point, Andrea, like, that in the end, like, it is an interactive medium. It's different than a book. It's different than a movie because your direct actions influence what happens. Maybe I can see that as being pretty cool, too. That at the end, like, it's up to our imagination. It's up to yet another choice that we make in our own minds. Like, is Shepard gone? Is Shepard there? Like, what happened to this universe? It's all because of us in the end, which is rather cool. I don't know if I really believe that that's truly the case in BioWare's mind, or if they're just covering their own, like, butts as far as financially. Because if they have that 1 10-second thing there, and then they do all these focus groups, and they say, like, does everyone want Shepard back again?
Yes.
Now they can't, you know what I mean? Like, they're not punks if they, like, bring her back for yet another game, even though they said it was the end of Shepard's story. But I don't know. I do think it's an interesting question of whether we need Shepard in another game to make that universe work. And I think, for me, the answer might be different based on what kind of game they make the universe into. Because I don't know how many of you out there know about the leak that happened a little bit before Mass Effect 3 came out, but there was leaked footage of a game that BioWare was producing before Mass Effect 3 came out. That was actually a Mass Effect open world type shooter. So it was in that universe, but it was first person, and it was a shooting game. It wasn't an RPG. And for me, as both an RPG fan and a shooter fan, like, if they came out with a Mass Effect game that was not a story-based RPG, I don't think I need Shepard. Like, I really like the weaponry of that universe. I really like the different worlds, the different looks, the different races, the different abilities that come with that. So I don't think I'd need any more Shepard if it was a different type of game. But I think if it was a story-based game, and it didn't have anything about Shepard or Shepard's choices or, like, whatever, I don't know how much I would dig that. I don't know. I mean, maybe I would, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I don't think I need Shepard anymore. Honestly,
You've had enough. That's enough.
I am kind of done. You know, just listening to you, the thing that popped into my head was, like, a movie like Inception.
Right.
And I bring that up because the movie itself is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, you need to.
Oh, it's great.
I didn't like it.
Well,
get out.
You can probably
That's ridiculous.
Leave right now. But, like, the whole point of it, like, it was set up to be, it's just question, what is reality, what is not? And the ending was left, you know.
Yeah, is that,
Is he out, is he still in, you know. I think with Mass Effect, though, it was set up, at least through 1 and 2, there was never any question about, like, reality or are we going to leave this open-ended, or, like, there's gotta be an end. And it's frustrating that, you know, there is no ending for Shepard.
Mm.
And I want to see that end. I want to see the conclusion, and then I want them to show me something else. Because, I mean, Shepard started as a new idea.
It's true.
Right? So I'd like to see other stories in the Mass Effect universe, or even, years down the road. I would hope that they don't do a prequel thing.
You wouldn't want that?
No. I think it's...
Everyone does that.
I know, it's just annoying. Like, it's a way to kind of like... I feel like it's a way to cash in on what's already been established.
Oh, sure.
I think about Halo Reach.
Oh, sure.
Which was a great game.
Sure.
But then they had to throw in the reference of Cortana and Master Chief at the end, which didn't make any sense to me. Which I hope they explain that in Halo 4. But, and I know that, isn't Gears doing that with Judgment?
Yep, next one is a prequel, full prequel, yeah.
Instead of staying with this story that you've already told, especially with Gears, you've already told the story, it's done.
Right.
Like, why not move on to something else? You can be in the same universe, but
well, I think
something new.
I think the problem is when, or at least the problem comes in when all these companies reach for something so grandiose. Like, when it's you against the world, and like, you have to save the world. Like, what happens when you already save the world? Like, I feel like the next game after Gears of War 3 is like a loser SimCity game or something, because they have to rebuild the whole world that they just destroyed over like 50 years. There's no more locusts, there's no more like lambent, like all these big burly guys are like lifting like cinder blocks and like making apartment towers and like building a Walgreens on the corner. Like, that's the next game in the Gears of War universe, and I don't want to play that. I don't know about you. But I do see what you're saying about like it kind of feels like a cash in. I mean, I don't know, like as it stands right now, let's go around the table. Would you pay full price for a Mass Effect universe game if it came out within a year of this date, right now, and had nothing to do with Shepard?
Yes.
Yes?
Probably.
Yeah? Day one?
Yeah, probably.
Day one?
I don't know. I'm kind of attached to Shepard, because it's like,
right.
You invest, I don't know, 90
right.
plus hours in those 3 games. Oh my. You do the math.
Right.
I guess I feel like Shepard is me.
Sure.
And I'm sure, whatever character they do, I mean, obviously, you can change that, and I think it's just for me to say that, well, sure, because it's, spend all these hours playing the game. I don't know. That'd be different if Shepard wasn't in it. I mean, who am I kidding? I love Mass Effect. I would probably get it.
Right.
But I'd still be like, I don't know.
You'd have your reservations as you plunk down your $65.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yes, but that's because I'm a sucker for the. I'm a total sucker for that universe. I'm a total sucker for it. I really love the way that they explain their technology. For anyone who knows me, or like I'm sure people who have listened to any one of these podcasts we've done, you can tell I'm a sci-fi dork, and I love Star Wars, and I love stuff like that. I really like how Mass Effect kind of takes the wonderment of Star Wars, but makes it more rooted in something that sounds more like science than just like explaining away everything by saying, "Oh, it's the Force, it's the Force, it's the Force, it's the Force." Like, I love how Mass Effect does it. Like, I can buy that world, even though it's like full of tentacle-headed people that are all hot women. Like, I can buy that part of it too.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know. So I'm a sucker for it. I mean, one more question about Mass Effect before we go on to another discussion is, how adaptable do you think that universe is? Like, I was talking a little bit before about how they leaked that footage and they were going to make it a shooter, and then they decided, no, let's just make it another RPG. Let's just do another RPG. How adaptable do you think that universe is for you? Like, would you buy a shooter that's in that universe? Like, do you think that would work with people? Would it work with you? How about if they turned it into like a Gears of War like third-person shooter, but it didn't have the story that it does? Like, it wasn't like it is now. It was just like, it was more of a shooter. Like, do you think that would that translate, or does Mass Effect always have to be an action-based RPG?
I mean, when you bring that up, the first thing that came to my mind was the multiplayer aspect, because I feel
which didn't work for you. Ultimately,
like it was fun. It's fun, but it gets boring very quickly. Like, there isn't a whole lot to do outside of shoot guys for 10 waves and then escape. Like, that's it, and then do it all over again.
What if they made that a fully featured game? It happened to be in the Mass Effect universe, but it wasn't just a horde mode. Like, there was multiplayer maps. There was a billion different modes, like any other shooter.
If it was strictly multiplayer game?
Yeah.
No. Because, that's just not me. Like, I enjoy single-player stuff. I I don't think I'd ever buy a strictly multiplayer game.
In the Mass Effect universe.
In any universe.
In any.
It's just like, I love multiplayer, it's fun to play online, it's great, but I need something more than just that. Like, I like to have some sort of story.
Interesting.
Or co-op missions or something like that.
How about you, Andrea?
No, I need the story.
Really?
Especially for something like Mass Effect. Over time, it's like, I expect to have a story with it. And Mass Effect was really the first RPG I've ever played. I mean, I never played anything like it because I had so much control over what would happen. It wasn't just, hey, I'm soap, I'm going to run and shoot everything, which is also fun.
Yes.
But Mass Effect is different. So I need that story, and I think I mentioned this on a previous podcast, but, I was going to say, I lost my train of thought.
Call of Duty, shooting people, third person, so
yeah.
RPGs.
Oh my god, what was I going to say? It was good.
We mean it.
Maybe I'll think of it later. I totally.
All right, well, we'll chime in if it comes back. But we're gonna go. We're gonna switch topics to the idea of DLC. As we talked about a little bit before, the humongous Dawnguard DLC came out in the past week, and we've all been playing it and enjoying it. So, what makes great DLC? What makes it worth it to pay 15, 20 more bucks for content when you already, specifically when you already have such a huge game? Like Skyrim, I think anyone who has experienced it, and everyone should, can tell you that there's nothing but content in a game. There's so many million, billion, trillion things to do that it can get overwhelming at times. And now they come and they say, well, okay, you know that overwhelming game, now we're going to put just a little bit more whelming on top of that overwhelming pie, and it's 20 bucks, what makes it worth it? Would you say Dawnguard's worth it, Greg? Because you're the only one among us who has finished the quest line.
Yes, I would.
You would?
I think the thing about Dawnguard is just it gives you so much content. I mean, it's 20 bucks, but you're looking at, how long did it take me? Maybe around 10, 15, 20 if you do all the side missions
everything.
And stuff, 20 hours. I mean, that is a huge chunk of time. Like some games, especially I think about a Call of Duty campaign.
It's 5 hours.
Yeah, that's quadruple that. It's a solid investment that adds a lot to the game, and for me it doesn't feel like, oh hey, even though we sold over 3 million copies of this game, and God knows how many at this point. That number was back in November, I think. We want more money, so buy our horse armor.
Oh, I still remember that.
From Oblivion.
Why did I buy that?
So, it just feels like we want to give you more quality content, so here you go. Enjoy. If that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. Andrea, what makes good DLC to you? You are a young lass on a budget, so you don't buy everything that comes along like a psycho like me. So so what makes it worth it for you? Like, you like Skyrim, right?
Yes.
You think it's completely worth your full purchase?
Yes.
Right. So, do you think at some point you're going to buy Dawnguard or whatever comes next?
Probably. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about Dawnguard. The reason I'm holding off is because it is kind of pricey. I just want to see how much. I'm like, oh my god, it's 1,600 points.
It's enough, yeah.
And at least right now, I'm still a Skyrim newbie, so I feel like I have this whole game to do all of this stuff. Why am I going to pay more money now to have even more stuff to do that I may not even get to until later? And maybe by then the price will drop too.
Well, because you'll get a crossbow to do all that other
It's
stuff.
a crossbow.
Come on.
So am I going to get it? Yes, probably, most likely, I should say. Because with DLC, I usually get it if I really like the game. Like Skyrim, sure.
Sure.
I don't really think about it. Modern Warfare, yes.
Because you play so many hours of it, so...
Yeah, a little bit.
Right.
But you know that I love Call of Duty. I only got the first Black Ops DLC stuff, and I didn't get any after that. Out of all of them that I played, Black Ops, I mean, it's enjoyable, sure. I mean, I invested I don't know how many hours in it already.
Many.
But I keep going back to the Infinity Ward stuff. So
Again, you are such a fangirl for that company, I swear. They're not even that company anymore. You're still
So I guess, long story short, DLC is worth it to me if I think it's good and I really like the game. Otherwise, I won't think twice about it.
Do you think it needs to add something fundamentally new to the game to be worth it? Or do you think if you already like the game so much and it's mostly cosmetic or a new place to go or something new to see, that but still like kind of works within the realm of what is established in the game, that's worth it enough to you?
I think for me, I like DLC in general, but I think it'd be so much better. It's like, here's the game that you bought. This is it. Go have fun. I mean, you pay $60 for a game, and it's like, oh, here, spend another $15-$20 on this. Spend another $15-$20 on this. Oh my gosh, that adds up for just one game.
Right.
But for something like Dawnguard, again, I haven't played it yet, but I feel like it would actually be worth it because you're getting all of this extra stuff. I mean, Call of Duty is nice too. Sure, maybe you get like an extra mission or two and some new maps, which I like. But given a choice, I guess something like Dawnguard is really worth it. Just because I feel like you're getting so much more.
Right. I mean, I'll tell you why I think Dawnguard is worth it. And I've only played like 5 hours of it at this point, but it's got not only new places to go, but it's got new ways to play the game. Like, there's new weapons, there's new armor types. I like both of those things. And you can transfer those weapons and armor types over to anywhere you go in the world. So it's not like you can only go into this one secluded area, DLC area, and use this cool stuff. Like, you can bring it out into the world.
Oh, that's cool. That's just what I pictured.
Which changes...
DLC is what you could use.
Right. No. It's... Oh. So what it does is it gives you another way to play the game. And then if you take the vampire route, it's another form to be. Like, you could become another type of creature, which has its own skill tree, which has its own, achievements. So... all those things add to what's already a great package, but you don't need it to get the full story of the original game. So that, to me, that's good add-on content. I don't like when DLC is limiting. Like, I wouldn't want to only be able to do the Dawnguard stuff and then finish it, and then oh, that's going to be locked to you forever, or that cool stuff you just did, can't do it anywhere else. That would kind of tick me off, and that would feel like I was being nickel and dimed. But I like when the game fundamentals can be changed, but it doesn't. It's not the end of the world if you don't have it, but it's something cool that you can do if you feel like you've done everything you can do in the vanilla version of the game. Then it's worth it to me. I do wish that in shooters there was more DLC that actually gave you new weapons.
That'd be cool.
I do get kind of angry that it's usually just like maps, which is, I mean, in the end, that's cosmetics. I mean, you're playing the same game the same way with the same guns. You're just doing it in a new place with some pretty new pictures flashing by you, pretty much. So. Well,
if it's something like multiplayer and you get new guns, people without DLC,
yeah,
wouldn't that put them at a disadvantage?
Yes, that's the thing, but. Then we get into a discussion of how different game companies do it. Like in Battlefield right now, and I know I'm a fanboy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I keep talking about this, but in Battlefield right now, if you get the premium thing, you get new weapons, but the weapons aren't fundamentally better than any other weapon. It's just do you like a long range assault rifle that has a single shot mode as opposed to one that only does auto? It's something like that.
Oh, okay.
So it's not going to ruin the people who don't have it. And it's not like they do more damage or anything. They're the same thing. It's just for someone who's a completionist or who has gained all the achievements or service stars with all the regular rifles, like a nerd like I have. That's something extra that adds to the game. It doesn't take it away from anyone else, but it certainly adds to my experience of it, and that makes it worth it to me.
Okay.
Any other thoughts on that, Greg?
No.
No, good. Okay. Well, since we just brought up shooters in Battlefield 3, it was reported last week that Battlefield 3's premium service, which is basically the ripoff of Call of Duty Elite's service, has surpassed 800,000 members after being out for a week. And as we all know, Call of Duty Elite has millions of people on it right now after being out for a couple months. And the analysts, those people, financial analysts, are saying that this probably means that this is going to be a trend going forward for at least big name shooters. Is what's going to happen is they're probably going to give us the vanilla game, and then they'll package a whole bunch of stuff up into another $50 or $40 package that you'll have to pay per year to be in it, like Elite or like Premium. And a good question is this a good thing? Are we going to have to get used to basically paying $100 for every shooter we buy, because otherwise we'll be locked out of maps and weapons and modes and contests and everything else?
That's just mean.
Yeah, it is. It is just mean. I don't know. Is that too limiting? I mean, or is that just the way it's going, or what do we think about that? Greg, start with you. Okay.
Well, I don't know if this is going to become the norm, to be honest. Like, I know I see it with Battlefield and I see it with Elite. I hate Elite. Like,
you do?
I have it, and it is worthless. Like, I mean, you can go check some stats, but when I think about, like Halo's stats that you can go through and like all the various things that you can do, and then when I think about Elite, maybe I just haven't played around with it as much, but like, I paid $50 for it. And I watched some of the shows that were on there a little bit, but overall, I'm not impressed with it. And, they're making a lot of money, but I think to run the service and, keep it going, like, I thought the launch of it was a disaster.
It was a disaster.
Nobody could use it.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just a mess. What I see being more of the norm is collector's editions having DLC. And I mean, you already see that now. Like, if you pay more day one, then you can get the DLC,
At least the first one free.
Right. Well, I mean, even like when Halo 4 is coming out, so I got the super awesome crazy edition, but that's going to include like the at least 3 map packs that they're planning. I don't know if there's any more after that, but I think that's just easier on companies, because then they don't have to divert all these resources to keeping a service running and then, get slammed when it breaks down.
Right.
So, I mean, I think you have someone like EA and Activision who can do that.
Right.
But not everyone can, so.
Right.
Overall, I'm not necessarily a fan of the, pay $50 for the service, but I don't necessarily see that catching on. So.
What do you think about collector's editions? Do you think that's a rip?
Depends what's in it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some collector's editions that I've bought, namely the Halo ones. I know Halo 2 is the first one to have a collector's edition.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that had some great content.
Yeah, I actually
really
did like
cool.
that. Yeah.
But then I bought, like, collector's edition for like, Jade Empire, and that was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, so, it's hit or miss. It depends what they give you. And nowadays, they seem to be much more giving. Like, they'll give you, art books, and they'll give you soundtracks and all kinds of stuff. So that I appreciate more.
Well, they better for like charging $100 or whatever.
Exactly.
Have you ever bought collector's editions, Andrea?
I haven't.
You've not?
I really wanted to do it for Modern Warfare 3, but they were sold out.
They were sold out when we went, yeah.
I know. So I had to get the boring regular version.
Yeah.
Oh, life is hard.
It is.
Am I upset that I couldn't get the collector's edition? Yeah, because that's really what I wanted, because I really like Call of Duty and I think it would be worth it.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's like, well, I have the game. That's all that matters.
Yeah, you're playing the same game that someone who paid $2,000 to get like a gold box version with like an actual rifle in it. Yeah, no, that's true. Although I think I might buy the Borderlands 2 one, which is insane. Like, it looks like one of the loot boxes, and then when you open it up, it's got like a replica gun and a bobblehead and the soundtrack and the first DLC. I mean, it's also like $110 or something crazy like that, but I might get it. I hope my wife doesn't listen to this episode. And I'll probably get what am I saying? I'm definitely going to get the Halo one too, because let's be honest, I'm going to buy all the DLC anyways, and it's Halo, and I will get it. Yeah.
Now, is the super awesome version of Halo, is that all the DLCs included?
It's a lot of DLC.
3 map packs.
Yeah.
So I don't know, because I know Reach only had 3.
Right.
So I don't know if there's going to be more, because it depends on when the next Xbox comes out, what they're doing with Halo 5.
Of course.
That's going to be launched, because if that comes out next year, then Halo 5 will be out next year. So it depends.
Yeah.
Might be worth it. I haven't pre-ordered that yet. It's still on my to-do list to pre-order Halo 4 and Black Ops 2.
Well, don't worry. I think they'll be printing enough copies for you. Yeah.
You gotta get Nuketown.
It's true. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Futuristic Nuketown.
Yeah.
So this week, this past week, I bought a game. Big
shocker.
Yeah, I know. Surprise. Usually surprised when I buy only one, but last week I did. I bought a military shooter, a third-person military shooter that just came out called SpecOps: The Line. And if those of you out there in internet land have not heard about or seen SpecOps: The Line, it is a game that purports to put you into military situations in which you do not enjoy what you have to do. So basically, without giving away anything about the storyline, if you have seen Apocalypse Now or read Heart of Darkness, the book that Apocalypse Now, the movie, was based on, this game takes that same source material as its inspiration. So basically what happens is you're part of a small squad who get dumped into Dubai, and in the storyline, Dubai has been completely devastated by sandstorms. So there's like sand all over the city, and tons of people went missing, and it's just the humanitarian disaster. And you get sent in to try to find the last American troops that were in Dubai when the sandstorms hit. But again, without going too far into the story, basically the Americans who were there went crazy, like they went rogue, and you end up having to fight them as well as insurgents and as well as civilian groups and as well as a lot of people. I have played probably 5 hours or so of the storyline thus far, and I have to say that as a shooter, I recommend it. It controls really well, it looks really great, sounds great, but the storyline, I have to say, is jarring, and for me, having played 1 million like mature rated games in my life and played 1 million military shooters and watched 1 million military movies, it takes a lot for a game to do that to me these days. So I have to say, on one hand, kudos to the developers for that, because they really did make me think about what I was doing in the game. But on the other hand, I kind of have to put the game down after a while and play something happy-go-lucky, because it can be disturbing.
Boogie Bunnies. Happy game. I recommend it.
Oh, well, maybe I'll play some Boogie Bunnies to get the images out of my head. But I don't know. I mean, I guess it was an interesting topic for me. Is has there been any games in your guys' life where when you play them, you are either disturbed or seriously emotionally invested in it to the point where it's like you have to stop for a while, like because it's like it's either too real or too sad or too scary or too stressful or anything like that. Have you had a situation like that?
Well, I don't know if I've ever had to stop. Well, when I was younger, when I was really little, you'll all laugh, but when I played Ocarina of Time, I remember doing the second temple with those dinosaur things. Right. They terrified me. Yeah. And those re-deads, like that scream when you got really close. Like, oh. But I do know that I think probably recently, semi-recently, the thing that really creeped me out was the first guy that you meet in BioShock, the doctor.
Oh my god, yeah.
Spoiler alert, if you haven't played that yet,
that's a gem. That's a gem of a game.
5 years.
Yeah.
But the first guy that you meet, the crazy psycho, he thinks that he is an artist. He's a plastic surgeon, and he thinks that he's an artist. And because he has no limitations anymore with Rapture and Adam, he starts carving people into what he thinks is beautiful and like stitching them together, and it was really
it's pretty
kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever had to stop playing a game.
Yeah.
So.
What do you think, Andrea? Any situation like that?
I've never had to stop playing a game. I think in my opinion, when it comes to games that I really like, it's always about the story and how invested I am in the story. So like, going back to Mass Effect 3, it's like, oh, yeah, alright. You know, I can control it. The story was really good. You know, both times that I saw the ending sequence, okay, like, nerd alert. But, like, when everything's blowing up and stuff, it's like, oh, I get chills, and that nice little piano song. It's like, oh, you know? And, like, I was really invested in the Red Dead Redemption story. I really liked it. I liked the characters. Except Abigail, I didn't like her much. She was annoying. And like my girly moment, it's like, oh, you felt so sorry for Bonnie. You know, you want Bonnie on there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I guess all in all, for me, it's all about how much I like the story, how much I'm invested in it.
That Mass Effect, not Mass Effect, I'm sorry. We're talking so much Mass Effect today. I keep saying Mass Effect. The Red Dead Redemption ending, like the epilogue ending with the son,
so
like when you finally like hunt down.
Red.
Oh, I like that was like a put down the controller moment. That was like yes.
That is how you do an ending.
Blew that last guy away, and he's like floating there, like. That was the coolest. Oh, that was the coolest thing ever.
Amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's so much like I have to stop playing this game, but it's like it gets in my head. Like it's one of the few games I think where after the character that I'm controlling does an action that is kind of reprehensible, I'm like, oh my god, like I feel kind of dirty. Like even though it's just a representation of some fictional character on a screen, it's like there are a few games I think that make you think about pulling the trigger, because most games these days you're pulling the trigger a million times, and it's like there's nothing for it. It's just for pure entertainment. And this is like one of the few games where like I shot a dude on screen and I felt bad about like that guy's family and stuff like that, and like that was like, whoa, I shouldn't care about that. So
it's not real, but like you still care.
Right. So it was. It's a very cool game for that, and for nothing else. If people play a lot of military shooters, they should probably check it out. It's an interesting game in that regard. I was trying to think of while you guys were talking, if there was a moment like that when I was younger, and I remembered when full motion video first started like being a thing, and CD drives started being a thing in computers. That's how old I am. There was a game called The Seventh Guest. Which is on one of the first CD-ROM based games where you had to have a CD-ROM player because it just would not fit on discs anymore because it was all full motion video. And I remember seeing like that was the first game, like the first big game that had full motion video. So they used real actors, and even though it was completely pixelated and it was like in 320 by 240 resolution or whatever what it was computers were in those days, like. It was ridiculous. Like the first time a ghost came up on the screen, it was played by like a real person. Like I think I probably audibly screamed and like hit escape a million times and ran out of the room. And like so yeah. So I mean, I could definitely recall sometimes like that. And BioShock is another one of those where it's like I love that game so much, but it was so hard for me to beat it because every time like splicers came running at me screaming horrible Victorian sayings, like I had to like pause the game for a second, be like gear myself up to like fight this thing. So yeah, there's been a lot of that for me, but I am a total wuss. So, anyways, I guess
the story is Mike's a wuss.
Yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up there by saying that Mike is a humongous wuss. And let's go around the table and talk about what we were going to be playing in the next 7 days. Greg, what are you going to be playing?
I don't know how much I'm going to be playing. Andrea has gracefully loaned me her Game of Thrones.
Oh, so good.
So I got 3 episodes in, and so I'm going to be watching Game of Thrones. In terms of games, I don't know. Maybe mop up a little bit more Skyrim, and maybe finish Skyward Sword, as I've been saying for
it's been the next,
Yeah, I still can't believe you haven't finished that yet.
Well, okay, so I just recently moved, and I need a TV stand, so even if I set up my Wii... the sensor bar is going to be
it'll be way too low.
Yeah.
So like
Gotcha.
It's not going to work. So once I get my stand, then I can finish. Hopefully, I'll do that this week.
Cool.
What are you going to play, Andrew?
Probably Skyrim.
Nice.
Always Modern Warfare 3. It's
sure.
Kind of always there.
It's your go-to.
I haven't played the new multiplayer maps, just the SpecOps.
Neither have I.
And I'm determined to beat that. We're going to beat that.
Stupid
So frustrating. So I've done it. I don't know, maybe some Mass Effect 3, a while ago when I was really into it, I started my insane playthrough.
Oh, you haven't finished?
I put it on hold. Yeah, I haven't finished it. And kind of going back after playing the extended ending was like, oh yeah, I really like this game. I missed it. So maybe I'll be coming back to that. I'm
going to get through this Dawnguard this week, hopefully. Like I said, I started it, but I haven't finished it yet, and it's super awesome. So I'm going to crossbow some more vampires this week, and I'm going to play my Battlefield 3 because it's my favorite shooter, and probably a little bit more Max Payne 3, because I absolutely love that game, even the multiplayer, which I didn't think I would love as much as I do. And, of course, this SpecOps when it's not making me question my morality. So that's what I'll be playing this week. Folks, we hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to like us on the Facebooks and send us comments on our page, and we will see you next time. And we end with our moo.
Moo!